I'm Patrick Bailey with whiteboardcoder.com. Today is November 4th, 2018, and in this video, this is phase 6 of wiring my house up with Ethernet. And I've already done, I just want to kind of go over the last little bit I did, which mostly entailed getting all the wiring up to my second floor, up to my bedroom here, which, as you may have seen my previous video, involved me accidentally cutting into a natural gas line. But this video is not going to go over that. That has since been fixed. But I'm going to go over what I've done and maybe what I would have done differently, including not drilling into a natural gas line. But with that, let's go over what I did.
Okay, so what I did here is up in our room, we have another room on the other side. It's really easy. We share a wall right here. It's a nice place to go to get all this wiring up for both rooms. And so what I did at first is I needed to make a hole. So you can get these, what are they, low voltage. Got these at Home Depot. So these are you don't have to hit a stud or anything. You just have to get in a place in between the studs. You need to check, make sure your studs are. And I kind of measured where other outlets were and put some lines up here and used a template and got a drywall saw, cut it out, drew my little rectangle there, cut it out, got this in there. The nice thing about these is this will, when you tighten these up, they will go up against, they will pull against the drywall. So they'll kind of pull like that and hold themselves tight, which is more than good enough for this. And then once I got that in there, I got this Klein tool, also over at Home Depot. It's made by Klein. Other people make it, but it's a flexible drill designed to drill through walls, inside of walls, down. So, make sure there's nothing there, which is what I did. I put a camera down there and made sure I was okay. And then what you got to do is this goes in the wall, and you attach it, and you can drill down. It's designed to really grab onto that wood and kind of pull itself through really easily. And also, depending on how deep you are, it does come with a tool like this that you can use to tweak it. So you can bend a little bit to make it a little more straight as it goes down, because it does angle in a little bit. But which for me was not a problem. So in my case, had I to do this over again, I would have done this the same way I did. Wouldn't have changed that. But then what I would have done is I would have drilled one hole down to see where I'm going to hit in my garage. And then once you do that, it does have a thing you can attach to the end here. And then this guy, you can put your cabling in here and it'll hold on to it and you can pull it through. Which I did use a bunch to pull it up and down to get things in the right shape. Let's see. But anyway, that's what I did up here. Also, I had to use when I got to the final stage, I had to use my punch down tool to, of course, get the wiring into these last pieces to hook into here to the wall. Anyway, that's up here. Next, I'll go down to the garage and show you what I did in the garage. Okay, now when it comes to the garage, there's what I tried to do. There's what eventually happened because of my accident. And there's how I'd probably do it over again. So what I originally tried to do is, as I drilled through, I came down right about here. And that's fine for 1, 2, or 3 holes, but I had a lot to go up here, so I needed about 6 or 7. And it was kind of dumb of me to just go down and go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. It is just too much. But if you only have 1 or 2, it's not such a bad idea. The only thing I was trying to consider is what to put here to make it not look so bad. Because the idea is I'm going to have them come out here and then route over here, route along down this wall, and then over on the other side, which I'll show in a second, and then into the other room. That was my plan. That didn't work out because, as I had my other video, I drilled into my natural gas line and created an entire disaster. But then after having had that happen, here's what we ended up doing, is I cut a hole. I got it replastered up here, and then I cut out a permanent hole here. And I found these over at Home Depot, these little patches, these little patch panels that you can put in there. And they got a nice little spring load in here, if you can see that. And they'll go into the wall. So I can easily get access to this and put this here. Now, and so that's what I can do. So I can do that right now, put that up here. You got to push a little bit, and boom, covers it up pretty good. So had I do it to do it over again, I think I would have cut a hole out there and then used this, but then in this, I would probably cut some nicer hole in this panel to route those cables out, is I think what I would do. Now what I did do, because while he was working my issue, he had to cut it some more holes. So he actually cut a hole back here.
Now it turns out back here it does have access to there. And it's much better. And so what I did is I patched this up too, and I put another panel here. But in this panel, I cut a groove on the top, and as you can probably see, I put a little bit of padding right there, and I have my cabling going out. And that cabling comes out, and I'm using these little guys that I 3D printed just to hold all my cables. And I have that all going, and I have that going into, see if you can get a shot of that. Have that all going back into the room that has the hot water heater and the AC unit and all that in there. And so that's what did happen. So there's what I did. Okay. That's what happened. How did I do it to do it all over again? I think I would have drilled one hole from the top down here to see where I'm at, and I would have cut a square out and used one of these panels to cover it up. And then now that I could see it better, I could more easily cut additional holes in the right area and not to worry too much about where I'm hitting. And then I could create something, even like what I created over here, to kind of pad it on one side and then route them over like that. I think that's what I would have ended up doing if I had to do it over again. But as it is, I like the way it turned out. I'm going to leave it like that. You can still access that panel just in case I never need to get up there again. But also it comes back here to this other panel, and it kind of hides the whole thing. So I like that. So there's the garage. Okay, I don't know what all is different in this room compared to some of the last videos I did, but I know one thing I did is I did get some nice circular drill bits to cut out a hole enough to put in this PVC pipe. And I got a PVC pipe going all the way through here with end caps on it. So I fiddled with it, got it done the correct size, and put it on there so I can more easily put these through here. And I'm not too worried about the conditions of the temperature in the garage versus here. I could stuff this a little bit, but there's plenty of wire in here right now, so it's not much airflow is going to happen through it. I also put a few more, I wired all this up, and so now I've got these wired to the top floor. Let's see what numbers are. So 1 through 6 are all going to the top floor right now. And the only other thing I did down here is I also went and bought, I don't know if I listed this before, I went and bought a power unit to stick over here. It's got my USB, it's got all this a little bit more nicely mounted than I had before. Just in case the next occupants want to do their DSL or their cable modem and put it just in here for simplicity's sake, because you can do that easily enough. So that is pretty much all I've done here. Oh, and I cut a bunch of wires and routed them so that I could route each one to this. So, one will go to, was that 7? And, these, I did another video, these route downstairs. That way I can, everything upstairs routes to downstairs, so I can hook it up just like how I want. Okay, and finally the basement. So I did have to do a little bit more routing down here, even though I did do routing from here to the, call it utility room before. I did have to route a couple, well, not a couple, 3, 1, 2, 3, well, actually 4 cables, because I'm also doing coax cable while I'm doing this. And I wanted to route one to the utility room just in case anyone ever wanted to do, if they want to do internet through the cable company in there and leave the box there. And also 3 upstairs, 1 for our room, 1 for the room next to us. And also an additional one to feed from my room all the way downstairs, because we do have a satellite dish out there that we're not using, but should someone want to use it, now they could feed the satellite dish down here to the center here and then have it route to all the rooms through all the coax that I put in here. So I've got that all up here. I've got all that wired up in here. I've used all these little 3D printed holders I made before. And so this is all routed from one side of it to next. And it's all in there. I'm going to go put the insulation back in here when I'm done. And everything is routed up to here. All these are in the back here. They're all marked. And I also have my switch box there, which does power over Ethernet too if I want to. So if I get something that needs to be powered over the Ethernet, I can do that. And it's all set up. So now everything's hooked up, wired up. I got cable out throughout every room that it should have. And all the Ethernet set up. And I think it's pretty nice. So for now, I think this is done. There's a few more things I want to do, not with routing. Routing's done. Everything's hooked up. I'm done with routing. The next thing I'm going to do is probably install, I'll probably do a video on
I think it's PF Sense. I'm going to install basically a smart box down here that can help me route things better and be a smart router versus what I have now. But that's a whole other subject. That's not routing your house up. And as you can see back there, there's extra length of cable there at the end because you just never know. It may be a little ugly. But it's always nice to have a few more feet, or in that case, probably 6 or 7 more feet, just in case something happens. You know, you can cut to the end and rehook it up again if you want to do something different, or if the next people who own this house want to do something different, they got a little bit more room to do what they might want to do. And with that, I think I've had enough of routing the house, especially considering I cut into a natural gas line. But that's a whole other story.
Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a like. To subscribe, just click the subscribe button. Also, you can follow me on Twitter under the handle @whiteboardcoder.com. View any code I may have thrown up as a gist at GitHub under the username PatmanDenver, or check out my blog site at whiteboardcoder.com.